Hello and welcome to SweetSpotDFS. This is a course fit video for the 2020 US Open, the second major of this calendar year. Now I say calendar year because it's actually going to be counted towards the 2021 season. There'll be 6 majors in it. That's just weird to say. What do I cover in this course fit video? Well, I like to go over the tournament fact sheet, which will go over distance, the par, grass type, how many bunkers there are, how many hazards there are, the architect. We'll see if any of that information actually is important. Then we'll go to a course preview, which basically all I'm going to tell you is what shot shape is advantageous at this golf course. Typically what I've done in the past is do a flyover and go over, okay, off the tee, we want to see this type of shot shape. Into the greens, we want to see that. But YouTube has gotten smart. They put a copyright claim on a couple of my videos. If I want to monetize this going, in the future, I won't on copyright claimed stuff unless I get permission from the people who own those videos. So I'm going to leave a link in the description for a flyover that's very informational and I think you guys would actually enjoy. So that will be in the description. You can go there and see that information. From there, we'll go to tournament history, see which golfers play well in the US Open. Is it important? Yeah, I think so. I mean, honestly, golfers who kind of have an aptitude to play better when they don't have to make a bunch of birdies and they can just grind out pars are going to do well at a golf course like this. And believe it or not, there are types of golfers like that on tour. You won't see them in Birdie Fest, but they will do well at golf courses like the US Open. So we'll see that in the tournament history. I will also go over grass stats to see which golfers are the best at this type of grass on this course, which we'll find out in the tournament fact sheet. We'll wrap it all up to see which golfers in this field are best fit for this golf course. So before we get into that though, what I want to do, if you were with me in my review video, Chad Eckert from the Fantasy Golf Pod and myself have collaborated to create another free spreadsheet for you guys. I will have a link in the description. I'll also have a link on my Twitter. He will also have a link at his Twitter. Go ahead, go follow him. Fantasy Golf Pod. I think it's just, Fantasy Golf Pod. You'll find it on Twitter. Pretty easy. And if you follow me on Twitter, you'll find his very easy as well. Either way, we'll both have them linked to our Twitter. I'll have it pinned at the top so you won't have to scroll very far. But basically all this is a bunch of free information that we've scraped, we've put together. Some of it is our own opinion pieces. You can see the little tabs down here at the bottom. He has a tab called Fantasy Golf Pod. This is all the information that he finds important. I will have a tab called the SweetSpotDFS. And I will have a bunch of information here that I find important. So I'll have notes on everybody. I'll include the bucket system. You can already see tournament history, recent form, and the overall POA average here. And again, this is all free for you guys. So go ahead and check it out. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the spreadsheet. Let's go into the tournament fact sheet. We are at Wingfoot Golf Club. This is the West course. I'm not sure how to pronounce that city name, so I'm not going to. I should have done my homework before, I know. But we're in New York. One thing I forgot to mention. On this spreadsheet, we actually have where the golfers are living or where they call home and their college. And both of those pieces of information, I think, are important. Since we're in New York, you can find golfers who either live in New York or went to college there. They're going to have a little bit of an idea of basically the terrain. I know it's weird to say it's grass, obviously. It's POA. Well, I gave it away. It's POA. But really, being in that environment has a little bit of an advantage if you're used to it. And especially with how the grass grows, that kind of thing, I believe there's a slight advantage. So you can see that in the spreadsheet. Okay, so we're in New York. Again, Wingfoot Golf Club, par 70, 7,400 yards. That is pretty long for a par 70. I would equate it to a 7,700 yard golf course for par 72, which again, pretty long. I think one of our longest golf courses that the PGA Tour's had is 7,800 yards, and I can't remember which one it is. I want to say maybe, was it Zozo? I can't remember, but we're not at altitude, so it's not like these golfers are going to get an advantage. This course is long, and it's a US Open, so if you're not finding the fairway, it's going to be even longer. It's running at a 13 on the stimp, which is pretty fast. And why is this important? Fast greens mitigate poor putters. Reason being, you don't have to bring the putter head back that far in order to get the ball moving. What that ends up doing in turn is you're going to have less off-center hits. I'm not going to say it's going to work for everybody, but golfers who just are poor putters are going to be a little bit better. I think most poor putters on tour, it's part of, to me, it has a lot to do with their green reading skills, especially on what type of grass they're playing at. So these are POA. I know I said that twice now, but you can see their POA down here. It's going to matter. Mix that in with, if you have good results in poor putting on POA, or if you have good results on POA, but poor putting in general, I would go ahead, fire those golfers up. That's basically what I'm trying to get at. Average green size, 6,600 feet, square feet, that is. Pretty average on tour, maybe a little bit on the big side. And these greens are pretty big. Now that kind of makes me realize I think we're going to see a lot of 3-putts. Large greens this fast, there's a lot of break on these greens. The greens are actually most of them are heavily sloped from back to front. I'm blanking on the architect that does that. Fazio, I think it's Tom Fazio. So I think the Wyndham Championship, Sedgefield has, I think that's right. I'm sorry for not actually having that information confirmed for you guys, but it's going to take a lot of strategy on this course. And if not strategy, just really good dumb luck. Most of these greens, you want to be on the front portion of them, which in one of the holes you're going to see in that video flyover, the guy talks about finding the fairway is important to be able to provide backspin on these greens to be on the low side of the hole. So just something to think about. Anyways, not really going to talk about tee size, acres of fairway. The only thing I want to provide with fairway is the longer you hit it, the more narrow the fairway becomes. And that's primarily because the USGA wants to preserve golf. How golf was meant to be played, which, their big argument, or, any purist is going to say these 350-yard drives they should be abolished. They're an abomination. That isn't what these golf courses were built for. True. So one way to mitigate that is to make the fairways more narrow the further you hit it. And actually, that has been a resolution that many people have talked about. I don't disagree. I don't have an issue with it. So either way, fairways get a little bit more narrow the further you hit them. Got to keep that in mind. Number of water hazards, 1. There's a stream. I'm not sure exactly which hole it is. I want to say it's on the back 9. I can't remember off the top of my head. I do remember looking at it during the course preview, but I don't have that at the top of my head. You can see how many holes water is in play too. I'm not too. There we go, 15 and 16. That's where the creek plays. So it is on the back 9. Not going to talk about the drainage conditions or water sources. Don't really care. I really like what they did here with turf grass, letting us know that 80% of this course is POA. At least the greens, 80% of the greens are POA. I heard on a podcast someone say that Northeastern POA is different than California POA. That person doesn't know much about agronomy. I've taken agronomy classes. I've been on the West Coast. I haven't really been on the Northeast, so I can't say anything about that, but I have golfed on the West Coast. POA is POA, no matter where you are. The only thing that affects POA would just be temperature, basically. So in a way, who said that could be correct, but at the times they play the California courses, it's nearly the same temperature as it will be in New York. Don't look into that. Don't read into that. It's ridiculous. Really, the only thing that changes with POA is how much sunlight the POA will get. These courses aren't going to be really growing that much. They put a growth retardant on a lot of the greens for tournament condition. It really stops the growth of the greens. So saying that POA grows at different rates or different speeds is true, but we probably won't see it. I would say, depending on the traffic, that's really going to make this POA different. Just like at Torrey, just like at Chambers Bay, it's going to be bumpy the more traffic is on it. So I would say it's going to matter. Finding golfers that are good on POA will matter. I'm not going to go further into that. I think I said enough. The architect is A.W. Tillinghast. Basically, that doesn't really matter much, mostly because we don't see too many golf courses on tour who the architect is A.W. Tillinghast. You will hear a lot about him during the coverage, I am positive, I am sure about, because even in the flyover that I'm providing you guys, the guy talks about it nonstop. So be prepared. Other than that, you can see some of the additional notes here. I don't find it that important, so I'm not going to talk about it. All right, let's go ahead and get into the spreadsheet, and I'm going to start with course info. So here is, well, this is my course preview, basically. You're going to see in column 9, OTTSS, all that stands for is off the tee shot shape. APP is approach, SS shot shape. So you can see off the tee what shot shape matters. Also, into the green, what shot shape matters. Now, you can see a lot of these just say any, which means either shot shape will work. But if you look in the notes section of here, the further you hit it on most of these holes, the more it matters what shot shape you're hitting. You know, off the tee, that is. So like hole 1, for instance. Actually, we'll go through this. So hole 1, par 4, 451. Really, any shot shape's fine. But drives over 300 yards, they're going to require a draw. Now, the reason being, it doglegs left. More of the fairway will be open to golfers who can shape it that direction. So even for lefties, hitting a fade. So keep that in mind. When I talk about draws or fades, they're based off of right-handed golfers. So it's a left to right shot shape. The further you hit it, the more that shape is required. Otherwise, you run out of fairway. Same thing applies for hole number 2. Hole number 2, though, the drive itself requires a fade for 300 plus yard drives. The approach, though, however, will require a draw because there is a tree in the back left. Now, it's really only for that hole location, the back left, that a draw is required, but the rest of the green is pretty open to whatever shot shape. It doesn't really require one or the other, but for that back left hole location, which I'm pretty sure they're going to put because it just looks like they're trying to put something back there, that will require a draw or a lefty fade. Hole number 3 is a par 3, pretty long par 3. Any shot shape into that green will work. Basically, if we're thinking approach, a fade will, if you see any, a fade is by far the more advantageous. It just provides more backspin. So you could actually think of that. Keep that in mind. 4, any shot shape off the tee and approach. However, 275 yard drives and more will require a draw. Same with hole number 5, 280 plus yard drives or yard drives will require a draw. And that's one of those holes that actually can be lengthened or shortened. I wouldn't say considerably. You can see almost 50 yards shortened or lengthened at any time. Hole 6, any shot shape. It is the shortest par 4 on the course, and I'm guessing golfers are going to try to go for the green. You know, golfers who can actually hit it that far. It looks like off the tee, there's enough tree cover on the right side that hitting a looping draw just won't it won't be advantageous. Also, there are trees that kind of guard that front right location or hole location. Not so much hole location, but the front right of the green. So it just further proves you need to hit a fade in order to reach the green. I don't think many golfers are going to be going for the green unless they're absolutely positive they know where to leave the ball. Because depending on where that pin is, it's probably not going to be much of an advantage going for the green. You know, if you short side yourself, that's an easy 2-putt, if not a 3-putt. Like, they're not going to be able to stop the ball on the green if they're in the rough. It's bad news. So that's very strategic. That hole will require a lot of strategy. I think a lot of golfers are just going to hit an iron off the tee and have a 100-yard approach shot, because that's really, to me, it seems like when I looked at that hole, that's really the only smart way to play it. And it's very short. So, I mean, a 200-yard shot will get you a 100-yard approach shot. And there you can put a lot of spin on a shot. I think that's going to matter. Anyways, hole 7, par 3, 162 yards, the shortest hole on the course. Really, any shot shape requires, again, with that though, on approach, fade is going to be more advantageous. Hole 8, 490, another par 4. The edge of the green's contour in, so really any shot shape. Actually, if you think about it that way, if you hit on the left side of the green, the ball's going to run to the right. You hit on the right side, the ball will run left. Hitting shot shapes into those contours, so if the pin is on the left side, hitting a draw just gets it closer. You know, it doesn't repel as much away from the hole as a fade would. And likewise, same thing on the other side. So depends on where the pin is. I'm guessing for Thursday and Friday, they'll have one on the left, one on the right. So really, I think any shot shape will be okay. But off the tee requires a fade. For sure, a fade. And it doesn't matter how far you hit it. Hole number 9, the first par 5 I believe in 2006, this was played as a par 4. Any shot shape off the tee and any shot shape into the green will be fine. Unless it's your second shot, it will require a fade. I only say that because I think a lot of golfers can't reach this hole without landing it in front of the green. And if you're going to do that, you have to hit a fade. Otherwise, you're going to find a bunker. So yeah, I would say definitely a fade into that for your second shot going for 2. Hole 10, par 3, 214 yards. It's a really difficult hole. Draw seems to be the best ball flight, but that's only because the green slopes to the right. So again, it's just like hole number 8, where hitting a shot shape into those contours won't repel it as far. Hole number 11, par 4, 384 yards, a fade off the tee because it slopes severely to the left. So again, keeping that logic in mind with how something contours, hitting a shot shape into a contour that, you know, goes a different direction just mitigates how much it's going to repel. So again, this one slopes to the left. Hitting a shot left to right into that will just straighten it out a little bit. Sure, it'll repel a little bit to the left, but not nearly as much as a draw. Like a draw is just going to trampoline further left. But any shot shape into that green, that's going to be fine. That green also contours in, but more so from the left. So keep that in mind. Hole number 12, the second par 5, really the only other par 5, 633 yards. Any shot shape is fine off the tee, but it doglegs left to the green. It's going to require a draw if you're going for it. If you lay up, it won't really matter. So definitely a draw going into the green. Hole 13, par 3, 212 yards. This is a 2-level green. So really this is where strategy plays more into one of these holes. It actually matters more for strategy. That's what I'm trying to get at. No shot shape really is going to tell you, or no shot shape matters in trying to figure that out. That's all in the golfer's head. but a draw will be the best shot shape for scoring opportunities, primarily because there's a bunker on the left side. Trying to get close to that hole is going to be easier with a draw than with a fade. Hole number 14, par 4, 452 yards. A draw off the tee is important. Any approach is fine. I suppose, never mind. Any shot shape can be hit off the tee, but the draw opens up more fairway. So that's why I do have a draw. But again, any shot shape into the green. Hole 15, par 4, 426. Fade off the tee might be more beneficial, but really it's any shot shape off the tee or into the green. 16, par 4, 498. Any shot shape off of the tee, except for golfers who hit the ball over 300 yards. That will require a draw. And it might be the most difficult approach. And the reason why, so actually this hole is really difficult, period. There are bunkers between 250 and 270. Hitting a draw is just going to open up more of, because it also slopes a little, or I mean it doglegs to the left. It will open up a little bit more of the course. But I should say, I'm trying to remember this one. Basically, if you don't hit the ball very far, a second shot is going to require a draw. More so than off of the tee. Off the tee, you could probably hit any shot shape as long as you hit it over the trees. But hitting a draw, like I said, it actually doglegs left. So it will open up more of the course if you hit a draw over 300 yards. The approach for a golfer who hits the ball over 300 yards isn't going to be as difficult than a golfer who doesn't. So a golfer who doesn't hit the ball 300 yards will have to flight a shot into this green. So why this approach is the most difficult one. There are, like, the green is kind of cut. I don't know how to describe it. There's a bunker in the front right of it, and the green kind of wraps around it. So that's where a fade would be beneficial. But then there's this huge looming tree front left of the green that will play into, or it will play a factor into this. So hitting a fade into that green or the pin position to the right, it's going to be really difficult unless you're all the way over on the right side of the fairway, which I'm sure a lot of golfers are going to try. But if you're too far back, that's nearly impossible. There's no way someone can hit a fade into a pin position tucked to the right. No way. Golfers who hit the ball far enough will be able to hit it probably high enough where that tree might not be a factor. But it's like right on the side of the green. It's going to play a factor no matter what. Anyways. Going from there, hole 15, we were at hole 16, sorry. Hole 17, par 4, 504, any shot shape off the tee, any shot shape into the green. This is one of those that contours from outside in, just like on hole 8. So obviously shaping a shot into those contours is going to get it closer. Drives at 300 plus require a fade on this hole. Hole 18, drives over 300 require a draw. And then the approach, a draw will provide more scoring opportunities, but any shot shape can be had there. So all in all, what I have down here is kind of a little tally. Off the tee draws, 1 is required. However, for longer hitters, 5 will be, there will be 5 holes you want to hit draws on. Off the tee fades, 2 are necessary. However, for long hitters, that would be 4. So off the tee, pretty same. It's pretty stock. It's both basically. And I think a shot shaper will be really good at this type of course. Approaches heavily favor draws over fades. So there are only 4 that are necessary for a draw on this course, but really 7 provide the best scoring opportunities. And we only have 3 holes that require a fade. So hitting a draw, all in all, hitting a draw is going to be more beneficial. That's why I have Jason Day on the thumbnail. He hits a draw. This type of course, it's good for him. So anyways, approach, and then I have the last 2 pieces down here. Off of the tee, holes, the shot shapes that don't matter, there are 10 of them, 10 holes that don't matter. So really off the tee doesn't really matter how you shape it. Draws for the longer hitters are probably a little bit more beneficial. And then approach, I have 13 holes where it does not matter. That includes, this 3 and the 7 are benefits. And then obviously this number inside is a necessity. So, yeah, we don't, it really 13 holes, it won't matter. All in all, 4 shot shapes, we want to be hitting a draw. That's basically what we're getting at. Okay, so video's running long. I'm going to just cruise through this for tournament history. Really, you can see at the top, Xander prevails over everybody. 4.67 over his last 3 years is amazing. That's his average finishing position. Will he keep it up? Probably not, honestly, but he is a favorite. I guess what we could use is like Dustin Johnson, this stretch here, followed that up with a missed cut. But I believe 2017 was after his injury, so I don't think it's a fair assessment to make. He did get 3rd the year after, so maybe Xander's actually pretty good here. Steve Stricker, out of golfers who've played more than one event. Actually, what I'm going to do is filter this out by one event, or take the one events out. So Steve Stricker would have your 2nd best average. I don't know what Steve Stricker's been up to. This is actually pretty decent. He does draw the golf ball. It's pretty good. And now, actually, if we take a look here, the top 3 golfers draw the golf ball. I think there will probably be a lot of Xander and Tommy lineups. It sounds like those are the most popular golfers that people are choosing, and for good reason. So if you take Tommy's 65 out of there, his average ends up being an 11, which is fantastic. Likewise, you take DJ's missed cut, 16.67, is pretty darn good as well. And you can see the rest of the golfers. I'm not going to go over all of them. It's really interesting to see someone like a Matthew Fitzpatrick, but he's a grind type of golfer. This plays well. Same with Matt Kuchar. Same with Jason Day. Same with Justin Rose. These are all grind golfers. Even Patrick Reed. I mean, most of these golfers up here do better on a golf course where the winning total isn't super low. So we can actually look at that and look at the results over the last couple of years. This is kind of an anomaly. This was at a very tame Pebble Beach. So 13 under. And well, it's really interesting, right? At Shinnecock in 2018, Brooks won with 1 over being the score. Woodland won in 2019, 13 under. Brooks won in 2017 at 16 under. And then here we go. This is what we're most likely going to see, especially at a course like this. Obviously, they could have set up Pebble Beach way more difficult than what it was. But when weather becomes really bad, having really hard conditions on that type of golf course, it is not good. Same thing happened with Erin Hills. Like, a course that required weather to protect the score was not there. So the winds that typically happen at Erin Hills just weren't there. So they made it a little easier. I think this is just one of your traditional US Opens. Course is going to play tough. And I think we're going to see scores that range between 1 over to 4 under. So it's definitely a grind type of course. And the top of our leaderboard here of scoring averages at the US Open kind of tells you all you need to know. So keep that in mind for sure. Okay. Now, last piece of information we're going to go over is the grass stats, which I have up over here. So this is the 2020 DK page. Or, yeah, it is the 2020. I was going to say 2021, but it is the 2020 DK page. And I have to admit, I don't have I don't have Rory Sabatini, and I don't have, someone replaced someone replaced Horsfield, someone replaced Scheffler, and I can't think off the top of my head. Either way, those 2 replacements are not added here, so if their POA is good, it's not going to be reflective here. But your best POA golfers. Paul Barjon. I'm sure you guys all thought of that same golfer. No, I'm kidding. He only played one event. It was a 20. This could have been a WGC event, which doesn't really say much. Having that scoring average really isn't that important. I'm never looking at a golfer that only has one event with a 20. So what we're going to do is go from Adam Scott down. So Adam Scott has the best POA. He can shape shots both directions. He's a pretty good play. 8,700, you can go, like, there are far worse golfers to choose from. Believe it or not, Rory McIlroy has I'm going to call it the second best. I'm going to get rid of ones. He has the second best POA in this field, POA average. And he finds a top 10 45% of the time. Followed by Jon Rahm, Tyrrell Hatton, Dustin Johnson, who has the best top 10 POA percentage. Paul Casey, Patrick Cantlay, Jason Day, so on and so forth. You see the rest of the golfers here. Now, golfers who draw the golf ball, Rory McIlroy. Rahm can, but his preferred shot shape is a fade, as is Tyrrell Hatton. I don't see him actually hitting that many draws. Don't be fooled. I know DJ hits fades most of the time, but what's propelled his success during the playoffs was a draw. He'd been hitting his draw very nicely. So I'm going to include Dustin Johnson. Also, I'm going to include Adam Scott. Paul Casey hits a draw. Cantlay hits a draw. Jason Day hits a draw. Now, Matsuyama, he can hit a draw. It's not a good one. It's equivalent of Tommy Fleetwood trying to hit a fade into the hole 18 at the Honda. It's not that good. But he can, and I guess it's worth mentioning. I've never seen Hovland hit a draw. Not saying he can't. I've just never seen it. Fleetwood hits a draw. Finau I've seen hit a draw, but much like my comparison with Matsuyama hitting a draw, it's very similar to Fleetwood trying to hit a fade. Just it's really non-existent. Same with Colin Morikawa. Same with Matt Kuchar. Same with Henrik Stenson. But then we get to Jordan Spieth. He hits primarily a draw. You do with what you want. And Patrick Reed hits a draw. He mostly hits a hook, but it's controllable. So here are golfers that can hit a draw. Now, out of all of these, my favorite plays would be Jason Day, Dustin Johnson, and Adam Scott. Primarily, you know what? I'll include Rory McIlroy as well. And this is primarily because they can shape shots the opposite direction as well. Obviously, Dustin Johnson is known more for his fade, but believe it or not, Jason Day has been working on his fade as well. I would take that into consideration. But yeah, those are my top POA guys. Now, 2020 POA. Jon Rahm has had the best 2020 POA at 12.63. That is remarkable. It's really good. This also includes WGC events, so keep that in mind. It also includes playoff events, but still pretty good. Rory McIlroy right behind him. So a lot of the same golfers. Now we introduce Xander Schauffele, Bryson DeChambeau. I'm not going to really talk about Lee Westwood. His 22nd place, I think, was at a WGC event. I don't think it's that important to talk about. And then you see some other guys down here that, in the 6K range, Fox and Harding. I'm not positive exactly what shot shape each of these guys hits. I want to say Harding hits a draw. Actually, I think both of them hit a draw, but I'm not going to put a lot of weight on that. So either way, the guys we see again would be Rory McIlroy, Adam Scott. I mean, you see Patrick Cantlay. We do see DJ up here, and Patrick Reed. So those guys, if you wanted to create your foundation based off of these golfers, I think those are good golfers to choose from. So let's do something here. Let's go ahead and, if we went back and looked at our tournament history and just looked at, this should say, now these are the recent form tabs. And I'm just looking to see how everyone's tournament history looks like when we go back. So it's basically 20 and below. I guess Spieth won, with a 51 average. I guess we can't really see Keimer, but 15 was 51. Woodland was 50. They both came in with bad recent form. No, Spieth actually had a pretty decent one. All I'm trying to do is trying to find some kind of trend here between Woodland and Spieth. Their 50th place tournament history. So I would say anything under a 36 and 50. But in all reality, what I'm looking for are just golfers who have good tournament history. So what I'm going to do is create a condition, and we'll go less than or equal to 52. And then for POA, what I'm going to do, I guess we could look at our 2019. Gary had 43.25. So really, I'm going to say less than 48. So we'll put another condition here, less than or equal to 48. And really, I could go lower than that, but we'll just keep it here. How many golfers are we left with? 41 golfers. Now, out of those golfers, I guess, I'm not going to talk about any of these guys down here. I'm only going to keep track of the guys up here. Really, the best course fit, in my opinion, would be DJ, followed by Xander. I don't mind Webb Simpson, but he's not going to be one of those guys. Jason Day. I think those are just it. Those are the 3 golfers that I'm going to include on my course fit. I'll include a 4th one. So I'm going to go with Rory. So those are my 4 golfers that I think have the best course fit at this golf course. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Again, Chad Ecker and I, we have a spreadsheet out there for you guys. We'll have notes on there. You can use this video in conjunction with that. I will have a lot of important pieces of information in the description. Go ahead, check that out. Again, that'll include the flyover. It'll include the spreadsheet. It'll include the timestamps, everything you can find there. But again, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I'll see you tomorrow with a StatFit video. All right, see you later.